She'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. I am super excited for today's unboxing video. I have a Kotobukiya statue from their Bishoujo series. Scarlett from G.I. Joe, the much beloved cartoon and toy line from the 1980s. She's a 1/7 scale statue. She comes in at the price point of $114.99. And she was released in late August. G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained special mission force. I always thought the narrator from the theme song sounded like the guy from Movie Phone. I don't even know if Movie Phone is still a thing. Press 1 for G.I. Joe. Press 2 for Transformers. With the DC and Marvel statues in this line, the boxes have a very signature look. It's very consistent. It's usually a white box with some artwork on the side panels. But I noticed with the horror icons, their boxes have a little bit more detail, a little bit more color. I don't know if it has anything to do with the licensing, but the box art on this is fantastic. Fighting for freedom wherever there's trouble, over land and sea and air. We have a window that has a partial view of the statue, the G.I. Joe insignia, and some close-ups. The box does have a battle-worn, distressed look all throughout. An action shot on the side, and I want to do this with one of my statues one day. You can see the desert background in the back, and I know a lot of people do this with their Gundam models, where they just build them and they set it up with a diorama. But I think I would like to try that, take it back to the 6th grade, old school. Now, my box did come damaged, but that is okay because I am going to Uber. And coming up in the series, we have the Baroness and Lady J. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. And this is pretty fresh, nice attention to detail. Back in the 80s, when you bought a G.I. Joe figure, on the back of the card, you had this little intelligence dossier giving you some background information. And I did look it up. This is the exact docket that was on back of the card way back in the 80s. Just a nice picture. And if you bought, this is exactly what the action figure would have looked like. It would have looked like this. And then the action figure would have been plastered here on the side with the small little window that had the weapon on top. Here she is, fresh out of the box. One thing that can make or break these statues is the hair. If they don't sculpt it right, it looks like a slab of plastic. I think they did a good job with her. What I would like to see Kotobukiya do is just some different shading and tinting in the hair. Maybe throw some black in between the different strands just to show a sense of depth. She is rocking her iconic ponytail. I don't know what this is. It looks like a little something about Mary thing going on. Big, expressive anime eyes, and she's got a pretty intense look on her face. She is getting shot at. On her left shoulder, she has, I don't know if it's a flashbang, a smoke grenade, tear gas, but on the 1980 action figure, it was actually a grenade. I don't know if your left shoulder is the best place to have grenade on your person. One detail I want to point out is the mesh pattern that's on the arms and legs. It just gives her costume a greater sense of reality instead of just being plain blue spandex. And she's rocking her signature crossbow. This is the weapon that came with the action figure. I don't think she used it in the cartoon. I remember G.I. Joe had like this generic brown machine gun that shot lasers. And she does have her ninja stars on her forearm. And I just remember being a kid thinking that was so awesome. Because she could just grab those right in the middle of battle and just fling them like frisbees. And she doesn't have the figure. The action figure had a little like hidden spy pistol on the back of her wrist. Again, the mesh pattern on the legs just adds so much detail to the costume. Obviously, the statue is based off of the 1980s action figure. Kotobukiya definitely made it its own. It's not a replica, but it's hard not to compare the two. On either side of her legs, she has a pouch. Now, I do believe the action figure, the pouch was only on the right leg, and then below that, I think it was like a bomb, like sticks of dynamite or binoculars, and on the other leg, it was a knife. Now, one thing I do remember are these pouches that were on the calves. I remember being a little kid and wondering, what does she keep in those ankle pouches? And the solution my young mind came up with is where she kept her extra ninja stars. All right, let's check out the base because it's all about that base. All right, it's a rock. It's sculpted well. It's painted well. They could have went with a generic black base and put the G.I. Joe insignia on it. But the one thing I want to focus on is the explosion of the bullet against the stone. You could see there's just different shades of orange and red and then the white. If they just did that with the hair, I think the statues would look so much better. You can use your imagination. You can almost picture her leaping over the rock. She's got a crossbow drawn and she's ready to lick off a shot. I'm really digging this statue. It's an action pose as opposed to your normal Kotobukiya. Tee-hee-hee-hee, I'm so cute, look at me. Last year at New York Comic Con, Kotobukiya announced these statues by giving away posters each day. The first day was Scarlett, and then the next day was Baroness. Baroness right now is up for pre-order, and she's going to be dropping in December. She costs the same as Scarlett at $115. I'm really surprised that Scarlett is still available. You can buy her directly from Kotobukiya's website or any of your online retailers. On the third day, they had a mystery reveal on who the third statue would be, and it was Lady J. Now, Lady J is not up for pre-order yet, but with Baroness dropping December, she obviously will be dropping sometime, hopefully before springtime in 2020. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this statue in the comments at the very top of my wish list. If this series continues, which I hope it does, I would love for them to make a Jinx statue. A lot of the times what they do, if the character has a mask, they'll give you two heads, one masked and one of the pretty girl. Jinx is a perfect character to do that. If they really wanted to step it up, they can make a third head of her blindfolded like she was in that scene from the G.I. Joe animated movie. Also, Zartan's sister Zorana with the pink hair and those big boots. And at the very top of my wish list, I would love for them to make a Pythona statue. She's just so freaky looking with the black ponytail in the middle of her head, and I don't know if she has a costume or if that's her skin, but she's got the claws and fangs and the eyes and a cloak, and they can do just wonderful things with that. The more you know. Knowing is half the battle. Is that how it went? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Panic spreading far and wide. Who can turn the tide? G.I. Joe!